There's an old rite whispered across centuries. Touch it, and you're either initiated or you never come back the same. Why can a single lapse turn a room into an unseen surveillance trap? Why do the most confident seekers fall first? In this video, we open the door to Abramelin, the operation that promises contact with a holy guardian angel, the price of 18 months of isolation, iron discipline, and temptations disguised as light. You'll hear near success stories, eerily convincing counterfeits, and the test that melts pride into humility. We're not selling fear, we're offering clarity for anyone drawn to paths that change you forever. Subscribe to Esoteric Secret and ring the bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the hidden arts where we tell the truth, not sell illusions. There are rituals that feel like story sand, then there are rituals that feel like rooms you should never walk into. The Abramelin operation isn't just a set of instructions. It's a vow to let silence peel your life apart, not for a night, not for a season, for as long as it takes to meet a presence that either remakes you or leaves you unrecognizable to yourself. Most magic books chase comfort, love, luck, protection. This one asks for everything. And if you open the door carelessly, what follows you back out may never leave. Subscribe to Tales Mythology now to uncover more chilling true stories where myths, legends, and real-life horrors intertwine in the shadows. The Book of Abramelin is remembered because it refuses small promises. It speaks of one prize, true contact with your holy guardian angel, highest, clearest expression of conscience and destiny you can bear. The path is stark, no adornments, no collection of spells, just a tunnel you have to crawl through while the rest of your life goes on without you. You maintain purity when no one's watching, prayer when no one answers, order when the world prefers noise. If you finish, you do not get power like a trinket. You're changed into someone who can carry it without burning. No intoxication, no sex, no meat for many versions, no indulgence. You pray, you clean, you hold yourself to a schedule like your life depends on it. Because here, the floor you mop is not just a floor, it's your attention. And every corner you neglect becomes a shadow with somewhere to hide. You live as if a guest could arrive at any moment, and that guest is the truth about you. Most faults are not from one dramatic failure, but from 100 small permissions given to distraction. Silence isn't empty. It collects what you've put off feeling. In that quiet light, fear grows its outlines, regret finds its voice, and old shame remembers how to knock. The operation is famous, not merely for its theology, but for the pressure cooker it creates. An untrained mind believes stillness is peace. A trained mind knows stillness is precise and unforgiving. Under that light, every excuse looks like a costume you forgot to take off. A software engineer attempts a homebrew version, cleans the spare room, sets prayer times, cuts all-night life. For the first 2 weeks, he feels heroic. In week 3, his dreams turn crowded. By week 5, coincidences nudge him back to old habits: a friend's sudden breakup, urgent work fires, family drama. He consoles himself. I'll double my prayers tomorrow. Soon, the ritual becomes a negotiation. He stops not in a single moment, but in a slow slide. Months later, he can't sleep in that room. The lamp clicks by itself sometimes. He laughs at a funnel, the laughter sounds foreign. Students of this work warn about the almost right. Before any true encounter, there's often something pretty that speaks well, blesses your vanity, and gives answers without asking effort. If the HGA is like a clear mountain spring, cold, demanding, impossible to fake, counterfeit is like sweet tea. It flatters taste. It makes you say yes too easily. Discernment isn't memorizing a checklist. It's a muscle built by refusing shortcuts you're sure you deserve. Lucifer, not fire, but praise. You've already done enough. Pride pauses the work more effectively than fear. Leviathan, not fangs, but fork. Meaning blurs. Your original intention evaporates into a swamp of what's the point. Satan, not a pitchfork, but a mirror. Every failure you've tried to forget lines up to testify. Belial, Belial, Baal, Beliar, not a threat, but a bargain. Finish this, but allow one exception: compromise as wisdom. The test isn't theatrical. It's personal, tailored to your exact weak place, like a key cut to your lock. Stopping halfway isn't just stopping. It's tearing a door off its hinges. People report sleeplessness, strange sounds, the sense of being observed in their own home. Whether you call that metaphysics or the psychology of unresolved vows, the effect is similar. The unfinished work keeps vibrating. That's why lineages insist the operation is not a curiosity, but a covenant. Aleister Crowley, who dared nearly everything, reportedly didn't complete the operation, not for lack of nerve or time, built his life around such extremities, but because this path demands the exact medicine for ego, not the exhibition of it. If a man who calcified his identity around risks or a boundary here, you must ask what kind of fire burns on the other side. Real-life example too, historically inspired. Visitors later described the atmosphere of his ritual space as thick, like air that learned how to stare back. Whether that's legend or a leftover, the story remains useful. Hubris is poor insulation. If the ritual works, the prize is not fireworks. It is a new orientation. Decisions become costly as they betray clarity. Old hobbies fade not because they're sinful, but because they're too small. Your circle narrows. You might smile less, but when you do, it feels like a bell rung correctly. In some accounts, the angel doesn't arrive to comfort, but to exact the last price, a life aligned without the drama of being convinced. We're not glamorizing danger or teaching technique. This is cultural literacy. Understanding why a text like this has been feared and revered. It's a mirror held up to modern appetites. We want transformation fast, cheap, and reversible. The Abramelin operation says, slow, expensive, and final. That contradiction is the point. A graduate student in a noisy city decides to adapt the rules to an urban schedule. She chooses dawn for prayer, keeps her small studio immaculate, stops dating for a while, deletes her social apps. 4 months. Nothing happens except she becomes kind, not performative eluately. Then the strange edges show up, persistent déjà vu, a humming pressure at certain hours, a sense that her attention is being monitored for sincerity. She isn't terrified, she's responsible. And responsibility, heavy with no applause, becomes a kind of ache. One morning, she allows herself to oversleep. It's small, human, understandable. That week becomes the week the ritual dies. Years later, she can't explain why the decision still feels like breaking a promise to someone who never raised their voice. Long rituals weaponize routine. That's their danger and gift. They remove novelty and leave you alone with motive. If your motive is power, you will eventually act like someone owed you a receipt. If your motive is transformation, you will watch yourself dissolve and mourn the parts you thought were permanent. Either way, attention becomes currency and something always wants to spend it. The internet offers counterfeit angels. They speak in perfect alignment with your preferences and tell you the version of the truth that requires no loss. The operation's central wisdom: do not confuse flattery with guidance. Feels contemporary. Training discernment may be rarer now, not because people are worse, but because distraction is engineered. If you feel the ritual tug at your curiosity, here's a sober boundary. Fascination doesn't equal vocation. Sometimes the right response to a door is to bow to it and keep walking. The fact that something exists does not mean you were meant to survive it. The Abramelin operation remains a warning shaped like a staircase. The first steps look ordinary: clean, pray, focus. The higher steps cost you the story you tell about yourself. The final step, if there is one, hands your life back. Perfectly simple and utterly demanding. Most people shouldn't attempt it, but everyone can learn from it. Your attention is sacred, shortcuts leak, and quiet is a truth serum. If you've listened this far, something in you respects hard doors. That doesn't mean you're called to open this one. It may simply mean you're ready to stop bargaining with the everyday truths already waiting for you. Sleep on time. Speak honestly. Remove one distraction that steals your life by the teaspoon. In that sense, the angel most people need is the next right thing done faithfully. Everything else can wait. This video is cultural analysis and storytelling, not instruction or endorsement. If you're drawn to intense spiritual work, seek grounded mentorship, psychological support, and elder traditions with ethical safeguards. Stay safe, stay kind. Silence has a tricky habit. It keeps receipts. The moment you choose a strict life for a strict purpose, every inch of your day starts reporting back. A sigh when you meant to stand. A scroll when you promised to sit. A postponed prayer, just this once. You don't need a spectral visitor to experience judgment. Unflinching kind is baked into vows. If you've never taken yourself seriously, vows feel like a foreign language, but they are simply intense honesty, multiplied by time. People ask, how does a ritual do anything? In one sense, it doesn't. It just confronts you with the dimension of your own follow-through. That confrontation can feel like divinity or like dread. Either way, it is precise. In old manuals, an oratory was a consecrated space clear of clutter, steady in purpose, held to a standard. The modern version could be a corner table, a clean mat, a candle you never light for decoration. What matters is the agreement that surrounds it. A room can be tidy and still refuse to tell the truth. An oratory, even a small one, begins to echo back the shape of your motives. If you arrive in hurry, it feels wrong. If you arrive in ego, the air is heavy. The room doesn't judge. It just preserves the imprint of your last visit. Go in humility and the room looks larger. This is where people begin to talk about presence. Perhaps what they mean is the resonance that accumulates when attention is spent in one place for one purpose. Even skeptics know this phenomenon by another word: atmosphere. No intoxicants, no sex, no indulgences. Eat simply. Pray at set hours. Keep clean. These aren't punishments. They're levers. Each removes a tug on the nervous system, so your signal can come through. That's why shortcuts don't work. If you cheat the rules, you don't hurt the ritual. You hurt your capacity to detect anything but noise. We flatter ourselves by calling this asceticism. In daily practice, it's logistic: sleep on time, nourish well, hold boundaries, clear the room, arrive as promised. You don't need to be mystical to understand what you become when you do that for long enough. A person whose attention has a sharp edge. A barista tells a regular she's cutting caffeine for a personal retreat. The first week, her body argues. By day 10, she's proud of the calm. Day 11, a co-worker brings a free latte. You earned it. The gesture is kind. The smell is perfect. The day is long. She holds the cup. The first negotiation begins. Ritual work is 1,000 tiny treaties you refuse to sign. Most people think they lost to demons. In reality, they lost to a gift they were sure they deserved. You can train discernment the same way athletes train footwork, with small, repeatable drills. Drill 1. The flattery filter. When a thought promises spiritual outcomes and makes you feel superior to other humans, pause. Great light does not need to borrow status. Drill 2. The convenience check. When an inner instruction arrives only when you're tired, busy, or craving comfort, interrogate the timing. Truth is demanding, not opportunistic. Drill 3. The obedience audit. If a message tells you to discard a rule you freely chose yesterday, ask why a truly wise counsel would need you to violate your own promise. Discernment is not suspicion. It is loyalty to what you said in the light when comfort tempts you in the dark. Long attention changes a space. Dogs stare at the same corner. A floorboard creaks on schedule. The lamp flickers at the same minute. Either there's an electrical fault under draft, or your nervous system has learned the architecture of your day so well that small anomalies ring like bells. If you interpret everything as supernatural, you will frighten yourself into obedience. If you interpret nothing as meaningful, you will mock yourself out of growth. The narrow path is simple. Investigate humbly. Don't sensationalize. Keep your promise anyway. Pride never dresses like arrogance during ritual. It wears earnestness. It holds the door. It reminds you how much you've sacrificed. Pride in this context sounds gentle. You're doing beautifully better than most. Why not loosen the rules? You've earned trust. The problem with pride is not that it's wrong. It's that it's almost right. You have done well. But the operation isn't a reward system. It's surgery. You don't decide mid-procedure that anesthesia is optional because you've been brave for an hour. The surgeon decides when it's time to sew. Leviathan doesn't need to scream. It sounds like your smartest friend. Let's be realistic. Is this even meaningful? Couldn't devotion be redefined as balance? Doubt masquerades as maturity, and maturity is fashionable. A simple counter: maturity keeps its promises. Immaturity renegotiates them to avoid discomfort. If your new philosophy always lowers the price you pay, you're not growing wise, you're growing evasive. Satan, as the story frames it, uses your own memory as his instrument. He plays old scenes, the betrayal, the lie, the cowardice, the time you were cruel without cause. If he can keep you there, your work stalls not because you are unworthy, but because you confuse punishment with purification. There is a cleaner way to hold your past: acknowledgement without self-mutilation. I did that. I no longer consent to that version of me. Confession is not self-hatred. It's an update to your contract. Belial refuses to look like a villain. It wants to be your lawyer. I can get you to the finish line faster. Sign here. The problem with these clauses is not that they're obviously evil. It's that they recenter control in you. The whole operation aims to move the axis of your life from self to alignment. A person obsessed with winning the ritual misses the point of being transformed by it. This is the most painful realization for ambitious seekers. Some victories cannot be seized. They must be received. And reception requires relinquishment of effort, but of authorship. Spiritual risk requires safeguards. Teachers who care more about your sanity than your spectacle. Peers who can intervene when your judgment warps. Health professionals who can distinguish between crisis and chemistry. Sincere effort without guardrails can make you brave and breakable. Ethics here means, do not invite whether your house cannot endure. If your life kids, elders, obligations dens on your steadiness, you owe them a certain kind of safety. You can pursue depth without courting collapse. You can practice the core muscle of Abramelin's demand without entering its furnace. How? Choose 1 hour a day where you let nothing steal your attention. No phone, no entertainment, no stimulation. Sit, pray, or read something that stretches your conscience. Keep one room if a guest of truth might arrive. Not perfect, just maintained with reverence. Keep one promise you'll feel tomorrow. Early sleep, temperate food, honesty where you usually hedge. This won't summon presence. It will summon capability, the kind that holds presence without lying about it. Picture a young father, woe kids, small apartment, demanding job. He feels the tug toward intensity, but knows he cannot disappear for months. He designs a humane variant. Dawn, 20 minutes of silence, 10 of prayer. Midday, brief recentering with a clean action, washing the dishes, sweeping a floor. Night, 1 page from a text that asks something of him. Then a gratitude said out loud to a sleeping household. No angels appear, but within 6 weeks, he is gentler in traffic, quicker to apologize, clearer in boundaries. The house feels less brittle. The ritual, not spectacular. The fruit, obvious. Sometimes the ethical version of a thing looks smaller. It also lasts longer. Many stories describe entities that arrive unasked once a threshold is crossed. You don't need to debate metaphysics to respect a boundary. Don't ask for what you cannot responsibly refuse. Curiosity can be an invocation. If you must invite anything, invite clarity, humility, and patience. Those guests never overstay. Even small successes in strict work change taste. Joke sour, noise hurts, gossip feels like dust in the throat. You try to fit back in because comfort is social, but something in you winces. This is not superiority. It is misfit. You're learning to occupy a quieter altitude while living among sea-level concerns. The skill now is translation. Can you keep kindness while holding clarity? Can you love people as they are without lowering your vows? This is why completion, even if possible, is described as a kind of loneliness, not because you're above anyone, but because you must steward a different weather inside you than most rooms prefer. Modern life says place is neutral. Anyone who has cried in a childhood bedroom knows that is false. Places, remember, when you give a corner of your life a single purpose for long enough, you are building a small temple. Temples are not sacred because marble is better than drywall. They are sacred because attention was stacked there like bricks. If you can't keep rules, keep a place. When you forget yourself, the room will remind you who you promised to be. If you've begun a modest rhythm and must stop travel, illness, courage, enclose your practice with an act of gratitude and a clear sentence. I release this rhythm today. I will not confuse a pause with a betrayal. Then do one clean thing. Write a letter of thanks. Donate a meal. Fix the hinge you've ignored. Leaving with gratitude wraps the room. It's not magic. It's respect. When you're fragile, everything looks like a message. The trick is to ask whether the meaning you assign leads to clearer action. The light flickered. I feel watched can turn into I'll keep my promise anyway, which is usefuler into I'm special and under attack, which often ends badly. A clean calibration. True signs simplify duty. False signs inflate drama. Talk of guardians and voices can sound grand, but there's a small angel you can test, conscience. It arrives with 3 signatures most counterfeits cannot imitate. It tells you the truth without humiliating you. It demands something you can do today. It refuses to flatter your ego, while quietly increasing your dignity. You may never cross a veil. You can still become the kind of person an angel would trust. If you must walk a strict path, do so near people who have no interest in your drama. Elders who fold laundry while they counsel. Friends who will hold your phone before you say I can handle it. A therapist who is comfortable with both neurobiology and mystery. This isn't a contradiction. It's civilization. Civilization is how we prevent intensity from turning us into protagonists. Eat. It is hard to be wise while hypoglycemic. Sleep. The devil loves the second night of insomnia. Move. Stagnant bodies hear things badly. Speak kindly. Cruel mouths don't make clear channels. Keep money clean. Debt and deception rot spiritual capacity. These sound pedestrian. They are surgical. People underestimate how much grim phenomenon evaporates when the body is given a sane life. A grandmother cooks for her block every Sunday. She has no language for angels. People leave her table feeling seen and corrected all at once. That's a signature of good presence. You walk away more honest than when you arrived. We do not need more experts in extremity. We need more kitchens like hers rooms, where the moral weather clarifies without anyone invoking fire. There are door transformations. You cross. You never come back. Your identity melts. Then there are mirror transformations. Daily truth, daily adjustment, daily humility. Door changes are dramatic and rare. Mirror changes are slow and cumulative. One breaks you open, the other thins the lie until light gets through. If your life is full of people who rely on you, the mirror is not second best. It is faithful. I prefer clarity over comfort. I keep the promise I made in daylight. I'm not a hero. I'm a steward. If it flatters me, I pause. If it isolates me from love, I reconsider. If it costs someone else's safety, I refuse. I accept slow holiness over fast illusion. Repeat this when your feed promises enlightenment in 7 easy steps. The oldest medicines are slow on purpose. Whether you touch something real or only your own longing, the nervous system needs aftercare. Gently reintroduce ordinary pleasures with prayerful gratitude. A walk at dusk, a movie with a friend, music you stop to make room for silence. Do this intentionally so your return doesn't feel like collapse, but like a completion. Think of it as landing gear. Down early, locked before touchdown. Choose one rule from your strict period to keep indefinitely. Maybe it's no phone at dawn. Maybe it's one room you keep immaculate. Maybe it's kindness to cashiers even when you're late. A rule you can keep is a doorway that never closes. The rest of your life can pass through it without damage. If someone asks, "What did you do? How did you change?" give them the least dramatic answer that is still true. I kept promises. It taught me which promises matter. Avoid initiation theater. When transformation is real, it doesn't need marketing. You're not afraid of angels or demons. You're afraid of living without your favorite numbing agent. You're afraid of losing the story where you're justified. You're afraid of the light that will make you put your sharpest weapon down. Say it plainly, and it stops wearing a mask. If you flirted with the idea of a dangerous ritual and you've decided not to do it, mark the decision with gratitude, not shame. You didn't chicken out. You protected your life. Write yourself a letter that says, I choose a path that makes me kinder, steadier, and trustworthy to those I love. That is courage. Seal it. Keep it with your keys. Courage doesn't always look like fire. Often, it's a carefully closed door. The deeper lesson is not about mastery of spirits, but mastery of attention. Attention decides what becomes real to you. People with messy attention are easy to enchant by outrage, by their own impulses. People with trained attention cannot be moved cheaply. That's the power most worth wanting, because it translates into justice, presence, and love. Here's a checklist that doesn't trend, but does tell the truth. You apologize faster. You gossip less. You sleep like someone who trusts time. You can be quiet in a room without reaching for a screen. You treat the person bagging your groceries like a subject, not an object. This is not spiritual minimalism. It is precise architecture. Build enough of it, and you will recognize true presence when it comes not because it sparkles, but because it fits. May I be loyal to the vows I can keep, and humble about the ones I cannot. May clarity be my favorite feeling. May power never outrun love. If I meet a bright thing, let me test it. If I meet a dark thing, let me bless it from a distance. And when I close a door, let it close softly, with nothing left inside but gratitude. Don't chase the rare at the cost of the real. Don't confuse spectacle with substance. Don't make a god of urgency. Do the small durable thing and protect it like a flaming wind. If you must seek the kind of truth that returns you to being a better neighbor. Tonight, choose one corner to honor. Wipe it. Put one object there that means sincerity to you: a bowl, a stone, a book you actually read. Sit for 5 minutes. Say one honest sentence about your life. If the room answers, good. If it doesn't, you still practice the muscle the old books require. Not everyone needs to walk into fire. Everyone needs to learn how to tend warmth. Some thresholds don't open with thunder. They open with a whisper that refuses to leave. You keep hearing it while microwaving leftovers, while answering emails, while staring at your face in a bathroom mirror under brutal lights. The whisper doesn't command. It suggests. Be exact, not extremely exact. Exactness is how reality greets you as an adult. Most seekers want a map first, but authentic paths offer maps drawn from where you've walked, not where you fantasized. You realize your steps were small but aligned. 1 hour defended from noise. 1 room kept like a promise. 1 apology made before sleep. Looking back, the line is straight. Looking forward, it's fog. Faith is learning to love the direction of a line you only see in hindsight. Spectacle seduces because it looks like momentum. Clean attention is quieter. It looks like nothing until it transforms how you speak to your child on a hard day. That's the kind of power this story keeps nudging you toward. The sort you carry into a grocery aisle, a staff meeting, a bedside at 2 a.m. not as fireworks, but as steadiness that refuses to lie. If ascetic vows refine attention, consumer vows anesthetize it. The counter ritual is everywhere. Doom scrolling until your shoulders forget their shape. 3 tabs open to avoid the one decision that matters. Entertainment calibrated to keep you just awake enough to click. You don't need to summon darkness if inertia already has your keys. Humility isn't self-loathing. It's accurate sizing. It says, I am not the center. I am responsible for my square meter of reality. In ritual language, humility is the only bowl that can hold fire without cracking. Pride either spills or shatters. Humility holds. There's a form of skepticism that protects the soul. It asks for receipts where charlatans promise freebies. It majors in patient observation. It calls a draft before calling it a presence. That kind of skeptic can be invited into your most fragile rooms. They won't break anything. They also won't clap on command. Keep one near. Imagine measuring your practice by the kindness of your interruptions. Were you gentle when plans broke? Did you listen when someone rambled? Did you forgive before the apology was perfect? The long kindness is not sentimental. It is rigorous. It asks you to be as careful with strangers as you are with ideas. In a small town, there's a house with 2 clocks on the mantle. One keeps perfect time. The other runs slow by a minute. The owner says, "The slow clock measures my patience." She leaves it that way on purpose. Not everything precise is good. Not everything slow is waste. Ritual without patience becomes vanity. Patience without ritual becomes drift. The wise keep both clocks. Strip the glow. Keep the signature. Angelic presents however you name it carries 3 practical signs. It makes you more truthful without making you cruel. It narrows your next action to something concrete and good. It quiets the room around your decision. Counterfeits stir applause or panic. The real thing deepens consent. We almost keep the vow. We almost tell the truth. We almost stop when we're about to gossip. The corridor of almost is human. The work is not to hate yourself there, but to shorten the whole way. 1 fewer almost each month is how lives turn. A city archivist, mid-40s. No taste for drama. She keeps an oratory in a closet, a chair, a small linen cloth, a book. She never asks for visions. She asks to be trustworthy. Over years, an odd thing happens. People confess near her in supermarkets, not secret truths they've been avoiding. She never gives advice. She says, "You already know." It sounds like an angel when she says it, but it's just a woman who kept small promises until her words came out clean. Boredom is withdrawal from stimulation. We relabel it as failure because quitting is easier than detox. Stay 10 minutes past boredom and you meet a new animal inside your mindressless but trainable. That creature will carry your life if you feed it purpose instead of sugar. Holiness can sound like no said without drama. No to the invitation that would flatter you into exhaustion. No to inputs that rot your curiosity. No to the performance of goodness. Boundaries are not walls against people. They are fences around your promises. Sleep, food, movement, money, speech, sex. Screen each river feeds one sea. Attention. When any river is poisoned, the sea tastes wrong. Repair at the river, not the shoreline. The operation, at its best, is a systems cleanse, not a theatre piece. Every era inherits a story it shouldn't romanticize. For some, it was conquest. For others, purified doctrine. For ours, it may be metaphysical extremity disguised as self-improvement. The Abramelin legend survives because it refuses to be a product. It cannot be packaged without being profaned. That alone makes it medicinal in an age of packaging. Sometimes the answer is not forward. It's return. Return to the ignored apology. Return to your body. Return to your mother's kitchen and wash a sink of dishes without announcing it. If the sacred is anywhere, it's in the places that trained you to breathe. Novelty is not growth. It's travel without luggage. You carry nothing forward except the need to move again. Depth is repetition with attention. Anyone can be amazed once. The transformed can be faithful daily. Be realistic, says the voice that wants you small. Realism is wonderful when it keeps you from debt and delusion. It is treachery when it keeps you from vows sized to your soul. Realism must be yoked to courage. Otherwise, it's just a good suit on a coward. If you're unusually irritable, eat and sleep. If you're unusually grandiose, clean a floor. If you're unusually afraid, ask for help out loud. If you're unusually numb, take a brisk walk and drink water. Attend to the animal before addressing the angel. The animal carries you both. Beauty is not decoration. It's alignment that feels visible. A clean table, a well-made bed, a phrase that lands exactly is a sermon that doesn't need a pulpit. Beauty protects vows by making them feel like home. Find someone stubbornly unimpressed by your intensity, deeply impressed by your kindness. Report to them. Tell them when you're tempted to make a trophy out of your restraint. They'll hand you your humanity back like a coat you forgot at their house. A touring musician builds a small rule. No playing when angry. If anger visits, she cleans her instrument and waits. Over time, her tone changes less brilliance, more honesty. She says her best audiences get quiet enough to feel like a prayer. She never summoned an angel. She stopped summoning noise. The sacred loves competence. If you want to practice devotion, start with your tools. Keep them clean, oiled, ready. Gador whatever word you prefer tends to trust people who return borrowed items better than they found them. If the furnace is too much, pick a candle. Keep it unlit on your desk as a teacher. Every time you want to be dramatic, look at it and choose precision instead. One email written kindly, one text unsent, one request phrased without the hook of shame. The candle will have done its work without burning. No one changes alone. Even hermits receive from rivers and stars, and the occasional neighbor who brings salt. Build your constellation. A mentor, a peer, a skeptic, a friend who makes you laugh when you begin to believe your own press. Soft power does not negotiate with cruelty. It simply removes oxygen from it. Soft power says, I won't participate, and means it. The house gets quiet. Bullies find exit signs. Children relax. You didn't cast anything out. You made something else safe enough to stay. Cut the program in half, not to cheat, but to keep fidelity alive. Say a shorter prayer. Clean a smaller corner. Take a slower walk. Promise keeping at 60% beats theatrics at 0%. The point is continuity, not a perfect scoreboard. Let ordinary things be miraculous at human scale. A kettle beginning to sing. A sparrow tilting its head. The way a child forgives in minutes what adults nurse 4 years. If you can be astonished by these, you become resistant to cheap magic. At the end of a long corridor stands an unremarkable door. No sigils, no glow, just wood that has learned the temperature of many hands. You arrive without drama. You leave your shoes aligned, your breath quiet, your story small. If it opens, and most days it won't, it will do so because you stopped performing. The handle does not respond to hunger. It recognizes consent. Should this ritual ever be performed? Most should never try. Some will, with elders and ethics and a love that refuses to trade people for power. But everyone can practice the essence, become exact, keep small vows, prefer truth to spectacle, and let kindness outlast your mood. If there is an angel, it will meet you where you became trustworthy.